How much of a card savant was he? This guy was a bit of a genius at the table, wasn't he?
Well, he was a genius in life. He had a photographic memory, a genius IQ, and because of those things, it gave him, a leg up on everybody else at the table. And I like to call him the Bobby Fischer of cards because I really do think he was a savant in that regard. Didn't matter what the card game is. I mean, we all know that he was the greatest gin rummy player to ever walk the planet Earth. Certainly, if you talk to any great gin rummy player that ever played him, they'll rank him number one without question. And he came to Las Vegas, just to play gin rummy. And back then, every high stakes poker player was a phenomenal gin rummy player. I mean, every one of them. Chip Reese and Doyle Brunson, Puggy Pearson, and Amarillo Slim, and Sarge Ferris, and all these guys were phenomenal gin rummy players. And Stewie came out here and just mowed them all down like grass. And he started spotting them. He let them look at the bottom card on the deck. He let them look at the bottom two cards on the deck. He would put them on all three games across in Hollywood gin. And it didn't matter what he spotted him, what he did. He ended up beating him until nobody would play him anymore. So then he turned to high stakes poker, and obviously, as we know, the first time he entered the main event of the World Series, he won it. Second time he won it, and the rest is history.
Did you have a sense when you were younger, Mike, that you were witnessing something real special?
Yeah, you had a sense every time you watched him play, especially if you get to sweat and play gin rummy like I did a number of times. Because when he picks up his cards, most people sort their cards into melds, and you put the suits together, the numbers together. He never moved a card once he picked them up. If he picked them up, they stayed that way, where they're all mixed up in his hand, because he never wanted to give any tells off to his opponent as to what he had when he picked cards out, when he discarded or whatnot. So, that alone to me impressed me. And he played so fast, it was just unbelievable how fast the guy played. You can name every card in your opponent in his opponent's hand. I mean, it's spooky to watch the guy.
Yeah, that would be spooky. And I was going to ask you this later, but I'll ask you now. I'm wondering, you've been around a long time, you've seen a lot of things. What do you think and what do you make of the players today, the Fedor Holses, the Jason Merciers of the world? I mean, these guys are pretty special too. The game has evolved so much, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah, these guys are very special. Today's players are phenomenal players, no question about it. And in fairness, back in Stewie's day, he was the most aggressive player at the table every time he sat down. He was the table captain, the most raising. And, we didn't have the 3 and 4 bets pre-flops like they've got nowadays, where they've taken aggression to another level. And so Stewie was the king there. Now, obviously, if he played today, he might not be the most aggressive players at the table because there's plenty out there. So he would have to adjust his game, but I believe he can read opponents as good or better than anybody, and it's just natural instincts, I believe, are above everybody else. So I still think he would be the top player even if he were with us today, but, I'll tell you one thing, these young guys, they're tough, they're aggressive, and they're great players. So, he definitely have his hands full, but I'd still rank him at the